Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is John Campea, and this is a special mid-afternoon video to talk about some breaking news that's come out that I first heard about on Instagram, of all places. You guys remember that last summer, it was very publicly done that Alan Horn came out and said, we are parting ways with James Gunn. James Gunn is no longer going to work with us because of some jokes he made on Twitter 10 years earlier. And that was all done, and everybody knows I've been extremely critical of Alan Horn and the way he managed or botched that whole situation, as I like to put it, and he was gone. Now, then we found out that they were probably still going to use his James Gunn screenplay for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. They've never made any progress they delayed the filming of it. They never made any progress in getting a new director. There's a lot of things going up in there, and then all of a sudden, the other day, James Gunn's brother is at the premiere of Captain Marvel. And he's interviewed, James Gunn's brother is interviewed. Of course, he does the body motion work for Rocket, and he's also one of the pirate guys in the movie, of course. And he says, I think this movie's going to get done. I think we're going to get this movie done. And when he said that, I said at the time, if you guys watched the John Campea Show, I said, I think there's been some bridge building going on behind the scenes, because it sounds like everybody's getting on the same page. But even I wasn't expecting today's news. And today's news is simply this. James Gunn is back, folks. James Gunn, who was very publicly fired in a very jackass kind of way by Alan Horn, who was very publicly fired. He's back and he's directing Guardians of the Galaxy 3 once again. Common sense seems to have prevailed here, folks. So this comes to us from Deadline. And here's specifically some of the details on Deadline. They're saying the decision to rehire Gunn, who was fired last July by Disney after alt-right journalists made public a fusillade of decade-old social media missives that made light of pedophilia and rape, was one that was mulled and actually made months ago. So they actually had decided to bring James Gunn back a couple of months ago. So this is something that has been done for a little while. They've just been keeping it under wraps, which would explain James Gunn's brother being at the Captain Marvel premiere and saying, yeah, I think we're going to get Guardians of the Galaxy 3 done. That explains a lot of that kind of stuff. Now, what a lot of people are wondering right now is, well, what about, Suicide Squad 2? Does that mean he's leaving Suicide Squad 2? No, he's still going to do Suicide Squad 2. And the report in Deadline says, Gunn's return to Guardians of the Galaxy 3 got complicated when he signed on to write and direct Suicide Squad sequel for Warner Brothers and DC. Marvel Studios, this is the key part, Marvel Studios has agreed to commence production on Guardians of the Galaxy 3 after Gunn completes Suicide Squad 2. Making the whole thing easier, though, was the fact that Marvel Studios never met or considered any other director for Guardians of the Galaxy 3, despite speculation that Thor Ragnarok helmer Taika Waititi and Vice helmer Adam McKay were in the mix. I know that's not exactly true. They did look at other directors, but they had never locked anybody down, so that makes his return here a little bit easier. So, what we have here is a situation. We are going to have a director who is actively working on and directing a DC movie and a Marvel movie at the same time. He is currently going to be developing and working on Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and Suicide Squad 2. And I think this is marvelous for a lot of reasons. Let's start with reason number one, just the fact that James Gunn is back. Guardians of the Galaxy has been his DNA. It has been his love child this whole time. Now, again, I was very critical of how Alan Horn handled the situation. Look, I understood maybe feeling the need to let James Gunn go. But I said this a million times. Alan Horn and the people at Disney knew about the 10-year-old tweets ages ago. They knew about it. And the facade they put on saying, oh, we never knew about these. Oh, we don't approve of this. We're separated with James Gunn. You knew, and you were just lying to the fans. What they should have done, and I said this from the beginning, if Alan Horn and the bosses at Disney, if they just came out and said, we were aware of these things, but we felt comfortable with James, but, out of respect for our audience and nationwide and in respect to how some people are reacting to this, we've spoken with James and we've decided to part ways over this. I think if they had handled it that way, I think this would have been a much smaller problem for them. But instead, Alan Horn made them look bad. Alan Horn, who is an absolute genius, by the way, and a god in this business, an absolute, Disney would never be anywhere near what it is today if it wasn't for Alan Horn. But he screwed this up. He screwed it up. But it looks like they have settled it because apparently Alan Horn and James Gunn have continued to meet, according to the reports. They continued meeting over the months, and apparently they both felt comfortable and said, okay, let's get back together. Let's give this thing another shot. And here they are. So just number one, having James Gunn back, I think is great for Guardians. Obviously, the entire cast of Guardians is thrilled. They put together that big open letter that they all signed saying, bring James Gunn back. Dave Bautista, who was basically begging Disney to fire him. Like, he was publicly begging Disney to fire him, saying, I don't want to work with you guys anymore. And then all of a sudden, he's been quiet the last couple of months, not saying anything, and now we know why. So this is great news that James Gunn is back. I'm completely thrilled for him. I'm completely thrilled for the film franchise. I'm completely thrilled for everybody involved in Guardians of the Galaxy. This is great. But I'll tell you the other little thing that I'm really happy about. I'm thrilled that, in this age of corporate slave zombie fanboys for Marvel and corporate slave zombie fanboys for DC who just continue to try to mount hate campaigns against each other, now we've got a director working on a DC film and a Marvel film at the same time. And I think that's great. I think it's great for the genre. I think it's great for both companies. I think it's great for James Gunn. I think James Gunn is going to give DC a great Suicide Squad movie. I think James Gunn is going to give Marvel a great Guardians of the Galaxy 3 movie. I think this just ended up being far better than any of us could have imagined. If you can't tell, I'm kind of excited about this. I think this is terrific news for everybody involved. So there you have it, guys. James Gunn and Alan Horn continue to meet. They made a decision a couple of months ago that he's back. They're now making it official and letting everybody know that James Gunn is back on directing Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and he is still going to do Suicide Squad 2 first, and Suicide Squad 2 will come first, by the way, and then after he's done Suicide Squad 2, he'll do Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Now, some people are wondering and questioning, did James Gunn sign a multi-film deal with Warner Brothers? Like, will he do more Suicide Squad or more DC? I don't see why not. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson can do 18 different movies a year with all different studios. I don't see why James Gunn can't do a Suicide Squad, then do a Guardians, and then a year or two later go and do another DC movie. I mean, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but I don't see why not. That could be a lot of fun. Anyway, again, this is just a great day. Great day, smiles and champagne all around for everybody. This is wonderful, and I couldn't be happier for James. I think he's one of the really good guys in the business. But listen, I'm really curious to know what you guys think about all this. So you guys have been firing in some live questions here. I want to get to those right now. Let's see what you guys are asking. Jay Bling is writing, could the firing have been done to ease the bad press waters during the Fox dealings? Nevertheless, Alan Horn still made a knee-jerk reaction. I don't think about that first part, Jay. I just think the second part of what you said is right there. Alan Horn, who is a seasoned veteran in this business, he made a knee-jerk reaction. And again, I got to reemphasize that I even would have been okay with letting James Gunn go had they handled it differently. But to come out like less than 24 hours after the whole shitstorm thing hit, and to make a real knee-jerk reaction, and there were a lot of people in Disney, in Marvel, and in the Guardians crew that were never consulted and never at least spoke to about to get their insight or their opinions on it, and just do a knee-jerk, public, strong reaction like Alan Horn did. That was a mistake. He botched it. I don't think there's any other way to put it. He botched it. But being the seasoned veteran that he is, it looks like he fixed his mistake. So, but yeah, the initial stuff was no doubt a knee-jerk reaction. Aaron H. writes, so, we going to see that Adam Warlock fella now? Well, remember, they were going to use, James Gunn had already written the script for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So I think they were going to use, if Adam Warlock was in that script, we were going to see him anyway. Whether Gunn was directing the film or not, we were going to see him anyway because they were using Gunn's script. So, are we going to see him now? Well, if he was in the script, yes. If he wasn't in the script, then probably not. But we know that James Gunn likes Adam Warlock, so I think it's a possibility. Snake Jerusalem writes, I think this is a misscheduled April Fool's prank. Yeah, it's like they do realize it's not April, right? No, I mean, I had to do a double check. When I saw a bunch of people were messaging me on Instagram And I had it checked and double checked. I'm like, wait a minute, is this a joke? And then I went and looked. It's like, nope, sure enough, there it is. But you're right, it does feel like an April Fool's joke, doesn't it? Kyle B writes, disagree with almost everything he stands for politically, but I do not think he should have been fired. Do you think he will be done with Marvel after Guardians of the Galaxy 3? Well, I mean, it's a fair question, Kyle. But I would think this. He's under no obligation to come back and do Guardians of the Galaxy 3. He was treated poorly. I think James Gunn owed some apologies because of everything that happened, but I also think James Gunn was owed some apologies as well. And I have a feeling that there were probably some mutual apologies that were being handed out behind closed doors between Alan Horn and Disney. And I still, even right now, I have people texting me. Even right now, people are texting me saying, John, did you hear that Guardians rehired James Gunn? I think there are people who owe James Gunn an apology. I think James Gunn owes some apologies as well. And it sounds like that was done. So I don't know why you would bring him back for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And I don't know why James would agree to come back for Guardians of the Galaxy 3 if the attitudes were still, well, we don't want to work with each other, but fine, we'll do this one thing. Like, they don't need to do that. So I have a feeling, no, I think James is back in the family, and I think James has agreed to come back into the family. So I don't think they're done with each other after Guardians 3. I don't think so. We'll have to wait and see, of course. They'll have to sign a whole new contract because they had to buy him out of his last contract. So now they're going to have to come up with a whole new one. It'll be interesting to see what kind of terms they put together. All right. Luis Blanco writes, Suicide Squad 2 and Guardians 3? That's tough. Well, yeah, but look, any director does two. I mean, it's tough directing movies, but he'll focus his attention on one. That'll be Suicide Squad 2. Fortunately, he's already got his script for Guardians 3 done. So now he can focus on Suicide Squad 2. He'll wrap that movie. And then when he's wrapped, he'll move on to the next movie. It's just like every other director does. A director works on a movie, wraps their movie, moves on to the next movie. So is it tough? Yes. But I don't know that's any tougher than any other job that a lot of directors do. And James Gunn, it's not like he's inexperienced. He knows this world, so I think he'll be fine. All right. Let's see here. Cecil 1304 writes, in response to Gunn coming back, it's happening. It's really happening. Take my money. Dude, it just almost seems too good to be true. But it's so good that we have to sit and wonder, why did it take this long? Like, this was just common sense. The fans wanted him here. The cast wanted him here. The Marvel brass wanted him here. This was a no-brainer, and it was a mistake to let him go in the first place, at least the way that it was handled. So you're right. It's hard to believe, but then you think about it, it's like, well, actually, it's hard to believe it didn't happen sooner, right? It's one of those situations. Ben Rayner writes, timing really random, would you say? But I don't know, Ben, because to say that the timing of this is really random, was there a good time to do it? Like, was there any better time than now? Like, they waited till after Captain Marvel was released, but they didn't announce it like 5 days before Avengers Endgame. So I think this was probably strategically a pretty good time for them to allow this to come out. Let's see. 355th Mike writes, Disney looks like massive hypocrites, but that's okay because it was the right move. He should not have been fired in the first place. I don't know. I don't think this is hypocrisy. That's not what this isn't the definition of hypocrisy, but it does make them look to have egg on their face. And it just does kind of reemphasize that they made a mistake in the first place. But I will give credit where it's due. As much crap as I've given Disney and as much crap as I've given Alan Horn over the past year, I will say it would have been easy for Alan Horn to go, well, I'm not bringing James Gunn back because I already made this big public statement and I'm going to look silly if I walk it back now. So he could have just said, nope, I'm sticking to my guns and keeping him off. He knew that by bringing James Gunn back, he was going to have egg on his face, and he did it anyway. I got to respect that. He could have just dug in his heels and said, nope, I made the call and I'm not going to make myself look silly by backing off of it now. He could have done that. But he was like, this is good for the franchise. This is good for business. It's the right thing to do. And even though I'm going to look silly and even though I'm going to have egg on my face, and he does have egg on his face, I'm going to do it anyway. You got to respect that. I think a lesser man or a lesser woman may have just dug in their heels. But he stood up. He took his hit. And he brought James back because it was the right thing to do. And it was the good thing for business. And it was good for James and good for Disney. And I got to respect that. As much crap as I've given him over the last few months, I got to respect that. So kudos to Alan Horn for that. All right. Rufino Salazar Jr. writes, how another super chat said, take my money now. You think this might be his final movie? Maybe a deal for him to finish the story, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, just one movie? Again, I don't think so. Now, I don't know. I don't know the details of the deal yet. But it seems to me, what would be the point of coming back just to do one more? What would be the point of going through all this just to do one more? I have a feeling this is reestablishing their longer term relationship, which doesn't preclude him from working with other people too. But again, I would just say, if it was just for a one film deal, why not just say, well, forget it. No, we've already been through all this. We already went through, the ringer with all this. Why would I bother just to go through all this to come back and all the publicity about it just for one movie? I think to make it worth Disney's while and to make it worth James Gunn's while, it would seem to me, and I could be wrong. I could be very wrong, but it seems to me like it would make more sense to make it a longer term deal. So what that would look like, I don't know. But maybe it is a one-shot thing. I just don't think it will be. Okay. Abraham Asif writes, Disney, I'm dumb, you're smart. I was wrong, you were right. You're good looking, and I'm not attractive. Gunn, all right, as long as you're willing to admit that. Oh, I believe there was some of that going on behind closed doors, yes. Look, James Gunn had to... When this whole thing went down, Gunn made a very classy public statement. He showed no ill will. He just basically said, hey, this is on me. Whatever, it was 10 years ago, but it was me that did it, not Disney. He took full responsibility. He apologized. He apologized to Disney. And I thought he handled it in the most extraordinarily classy way and just quietly went off. And then, collected a big check from Disney and then signed a deal with Warner Brothers and whatever. And everybody was happy. So he's already done his part of the groveling and apologizing. I absolutely guarantee you behind closed doors, there had to be a little bit of that coming towards him now too. Apologizing for how they handled it. Again, look, it was a terrible situation that I will be the first one to tell you, and James Gunn will be the first one to tell you, that is a situation that James Gunn himself created. It was his own fault. He's got nobody else to blame for, the shitstorm that all got kicked up. It was his fault. Disney was in a tough situation. James Gunn was in a tough situation as a result, and all that kind of stuff. I just think it should have been handled better. And I think Gunn probably had some apologies sent his way over how it was handled. And and then I think it looks like cooler heads prevailed and everything worked out. Ali Hussein writes, I'm so happy that he's back. I hope this is not an April Fool's joke. I'm right. There's still a lot of us out there wait a minute. Is this real? Like you're poking it in the arm. Is this real? Like real. Not April Fool's joke real. Not we're caught in the Matrix real, but like real. Yeah, a lot of us are still kind of doubting that, but it looks like on its surface it's absolutely real. Esther Kunesa writes, The Hollywood Reporter, Disney never intended to hire a new director. He was rehired months back. This is the craziest entertainment news story of the year. Yeah, Deadline is saying the same thing, that they never really considered another director. I know that that's not the case. I know that they did consider other directors. I'm not going to go into how I knew, but and believe me, guys, I'm not the only one who knows. There are many, many people in this industry who knew that Disney was looking at other people. They were. But again, they did come to an agreement, at least in principle, a couple of months ago. And that's what we're finding out now. So both the Hollywood Reporter and Deadline are letting us know that this was actually an agreement they came to probably before Christmas or just after Christmas, one of the two. So Hey, again, I'm just glad. Yes, they looked at other directors, despite what the Hollywood Reporter and Deadline are telling you. They did look at other directors. But I think even while that was going on, they clearly, apparently, Horn and Gunn were still talking. And that's good. Talking is good. Communication's good. And it all worked out. And now everybody's happy. Brad Canfield writes, I just wonder how this may affect Suicide Squad 2. I honestly don't think it's going to affect it at all. I don't think it's going to affect it in the least. Look, lots of directors work on a movie when they already know what their next movie is going to be after that. So he's going to work on Suicide Squad 2. He's going to make a great DC movie. And then he's going to be looked at as a hero for the first guy ever to make a great DC and a great Marvel movie. And he's going to be revered for that by everybody. He's going to be the great unifier, if you will. So I really don't see it affecting Suicide Squad 2 at all. You know, Christopher Nolan was working on a Batman film when he already knew what his next film was going to be, but that didn't detract from his Batman film. And I don't think this is going to detract from Suicide Squad. I don't think so, at any rate. Okay. Ali Hussein writes, is he going to Suicide Squad first or Guardians 3 or both back to back? Well, according to the story, and again, let me bring this up here quick. According to the story that we have, it says Marvel Studios has agreed to commence production on Guardians of the Galaxy 3 after Gunn completes Suicide Squad 2. So Suicide Squad 2 is the priority. That's what they're going to do first. And then once he's done that, he can move on to Guardians 3. But a lot of his work is already done because he already wrote the script ages ago. So they're going to have a little bit of a head start with Guardians of the Galaxy 3 regardless. But yeah, Suicide Squad 2, according to the reports, is coming first. All right, Ben Rayner writes, 209 days later, James Gunn rehired July through March. Yeah, I mean, it took long enough. But ultimately, again, cooler heads prevailed. It was the right thing. And I'm just glad they can put this whole mess behind them now. And the benefit of this, again, something good came out of this. We're now going to have James Gunn directing a DC movie and a Marvel movie. This never would have happened if it wasn't for this nonsense. So every once in a while, good things can come out of terrible situations. In this case, we're going to now have a director doing a major DC film and a major Marvel film, and I think that's fantastic. Ahmad Pittman writes, do you think Gunn may have signed on for any future Suicide Squad sequels with Warner Brothers? How does it work with switching studios back to Marvel from DC? There's really no catch. Lots of directors do it. Lots and lots and lots of directors will make a film with one company, make another film with another company. It's a film by film thing. I don't know if Gunn signed on for multiple Suicide Squads or if he just signed a multiple film deal with Warner Brothers. So maybe it could be a Suicide Squad, then maybe another movie. Or maybe he didn't sign a multi-film deal at all. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to assume, and I am just assuming, I can't back this up. I'm going to assume that in today's climate, studios, particularly with comic book movies, only seem to sign people on when they're willing to sign multi-film deals. So I'm going to go on the assumption for now, until we hear otherwise, that he has a multi-film deal with Warner Brothers. But how that all kind of works itself out later, we'll have to wait and find out. Let's see. Where are we at? Keith Jarrett writes, all I hope is that if we're going to potentially wait 4 to 5 years for Guardians of the Galaxy 3, the film should reflect how long it's been. Maybe be in the style of Logan. Well, I mean, there's a lot more than the couple of years that pass in between Logan. And remember, we just got Guardians in Infinity War. We're going to see the Guardians in Endgame. So if he's already working on Suicide, what was the release date again for Suicide Squad? Hold on a second. Let me just double check this. Squad 2 release date. Because I think they've already, August 2nd, 2021. So he can actually be working on a Guardians probably like before the movie comes out. Because if he wraps on Suicide Squad 2 a few months before it comes out, he can already be working. We could be looking at a Guardians of the Galaxy 3 in 2023. So 4 years from now. Which in the grand scheme of thing isn't that big of a deal. All right. Dim Sum 05 writes, Love that he's back. A little bit of egg on Horn's face. Yup. And wipes tears with cash. And yes, that's true too. But all I can imagine with Christian Hoff saying, yes, he's back. I mean, it's great that he's back. It's wonderful that he's back. I love that he's back. And again, as harsh as I've been on Alan Horn, kudos to him for taking the egg on his face and doing what was right. And I respect that. Ali Hussein writes, I never expected that Disney would ever bring him back after what Alan Horn said, but I am so happy. Yeah, I mean, after Horn said what he said, I remember saying, like, I don't think you can walk that back because you just make yourself look silly. You're just going to make yourself look stupid. He should have thought this out more. But, you know, he kept talking. He kept meeting with James Gunn. They worked it out. And at the end of the day, the right thing was done. And so kudos to everybody involved. Shamanth writes, never say never in Hollywood. It's true. That just goes to prove that point again, man. Never say never in this business. Because if you had asked me in November if I thought that Gunn could come back, I'd say no. Number one, Disney's painted it themselves into a corner so they can't bring him back. And number two, if I'm James Gunn, why would I want to come back the way I was treated? So if you'd asked me in November, I would say, no, he's not coming back. And yet here we are. Never say never in this business. Zach Kaplan writes, woke up my roommate this morning screaming Gunn got rehired and nearly had a heart attack. How'd you first learn the news and what was your initial reaction? Well, I just saw it on Instagram. I was funny because I was having lunch. I finished the John Campea show, did some administrative stuff, went downstairs to have lunch. And I'm eating lunch, catching up on one of my shows while I'm eating lunch. And I didn't look at my phone for like an hour. And then the show ends, I finish my lunch, I pick up my phone, and it's like, James Gunn. I got people messaging me on Instagram, James Gunn back. I'm like, no. I was like a lot of you guys, April Fool's joke, somebody putting out some kind of fake story. But it was real. That's how I found out, Zach. All right. Chi-Town Rules 09 writes, I love how happy this makes people, including myself. Can't wait to see what he does with Suicide Squad, and I wonder if he changes his script for Volume 3. Well, I wouldn't doubt if there's a little bit of changes coming for the script. I mean, after all, he probably finished it over a year ago. It was probably all wrapped and finished a year ago. He's had a lot of time to think about it. I wouldn't doubt at all if he makes some changes. I would have no doubt. I would fully expect at this point, with that much time passed that he had to think about it, he probably thought of a few ways to make it better. So I wouldn't be surprised in the least if he made a few changes there. Ali Hussein writes, was the script done for Suicide Squad 2? Correct me if I'm wrong. The Guardians 3 script was finished, right? Yeah, I don't know if the script for Suicide Squad 2 or what the status of that is. But yes, he finished the script for Guardians 3 prior to being let go back in the summer. So that much we know. What the status of the Suicide Squad script is right now, I'm not really sure, but we know that the Guardians script was done. Psylocke X writes, Captain Marvel, $1,850,000,000, which is realistic. If so considered a hit, Gunn given a chance directing Captain Marvel after Guardians since he's master at Cosmic Marvel Universe? Well, here's the thing. Cosmic means anything. Cosmic just means anything that's not on Earth. So you don't have to be James Gunn to tell those stories. And I'll tell you what, if Captain Marvel does get to $850 million, they're probably just going to bring back the same two directors. I don't know why you wouldn't. I mean, if this movie gets to $850 million, which I did not think it would, but if it does get to $850 million, why not just bring back the same directors and let James Gunn focus on what he wants to focus on? So, I mean, it's possible. Anything's possible, but I don't see why you'd do that. Holland Love writes, I bet one of my fellow The John Campea Show patrons $200 that Gunn would be back. I implore that individual to reach out to me for my PayPal information. Hashtag told you so. I mean, it's a dream though, right, Holland? It's a dream. Like, we all wanted to see that happen, but as a dream, we never thought it was real. And honestly, the way it was handled by Disney, I just thought there was no coming back from that. Like, I'm one of those guys, and I thought there's no coming back from this. The way Disney handled this, there was no coming back. But Alan Horn was willing to stand up and take the pie in the face. Good on him. Good on him. I still don't approve of the way he handled it, but hey, at least he's making it right here. Sam Fisher writes, what are the chances he was never actually fired? You always talk about how things like movie castings are set months before being announced to the public. Oh, he was fired. There's no way that James Gunn agrees to go through this type of public humiliation. There's no way that you get Dave Bautista calling Disney all kinds of names and begging them to fire him, all that kind of stuff. No, I mean, there's certain things you can do to fake a story, but nah, he was fired. He was fired. And now, you're right. This was set months before. According to all the reports, they actually came to an agreement probably back in December or January. And so they've just been sitting on that for now, just to make sure, I guess, everything sets properly. But 6 months earlier, though, he was fired. So that I have no doubt. Florian Stumpf writes, Suicide Squad 2 and Guardians of the Galaxy 3, win-win situation for us fans. That's the thing. It's a win-win for us. It's a win-win. This is great. I get it. We're all focused right now on the fact that James Gunn is back. And that's great. And we should be focused on that. But I seriously think there is the bigger story here. Bigger than James Gunn returning. And that's that we actively have a single director working on a major Marvel film and a major DC film concurrently. That's amazing to me. That's amazing to me. I'm so thrilled for Marvel. I'm so thrilled for DC. I'm so thrilled for us as comic book movie fans. I can't wait. I can't wait to see both these films, man. All right. Holland Love. There we go. Holland Love writes, I figured this whole ordeal was due to Disney not wanting to divide Fox shareholders who may have had moral reservations about it prior to voting. I really don't think it had anything to do with that. I 100% don't think that had anything to do with it. And I'll tell you what else. The Marvel shareholders didn't care. Shareholders don't care about this stuff. Not in the least. The shareholders are just in it for the money. The shareholders just want to know, how much money are you going to give us versus how much money is that guy going to give us? Because if Comcast had been able to come up with a bid higher than Disney's, they would have gone with Comcast. But I absolutely guarantee you, the shareholders don't care squat except how much am I getting for my shares. That's all they cared about. That's all they cared about. So this whole thing had nothing to do with it. It's like, oh, one of your directors made some really tasteless jokes on Twitter. That sucks. How much are you giving me? That's all they cared about, is how much you giving me. And that's all that shareholders really should care about, I guess. Ryan Lohner writes, the big takeaway for me is Bautista getting to show his integrity and loyalty. Not every day you see somebody actively risking their whole career to stand up for what's right. Dude, I'll tell you what, I have always been a big fan of Dave Bautista. He's one of the classiest guys I've met. He's always been one of the nicest guys to get together. When we did our 24-hour marathon for the storm relief for the Philippines, Dave Bautista was the first guy to say, hey, you want me to help? You want me to send in a message? You want me to? And Dave Bautista participated in our thing. He's just the classiest of class acts. And he is not a big name in this business. For him to come out and defy Disney and call Disney all sorts of names and to basically taunt them and beg them publicly to fire him and dare them to fire him. He's not a Tom Cruise. He's not a Chris Pratt. He's not an Arnold. Well, Arnold might not be the best example now, but he's not a Tom Hanks. It's not like he carries all the weight and can throw his weight around. He was risking his career doing that, and he knew it. But he was staying loyal to the guy who was loyal to him. And I'll tell you what, man, through that whole thing, Ryan, my respect level for Dave Bautista went through the roof. Went absolutely through the roof. That he put that before his career. Because that could have ended his career. So, yeah, good on him, man. Good on him. SSGS Trunks writes, cool, he's going to be J.J. Abrams-ing it with both. Yeah, so yeah, J.J. doing Star Trek, then Star Wars. Now we got him doing DC and Marvel. I think it's a great thing, man. I think it's a great thing. But that's a good comparison, the J.J. Abrams comparison. Ryan follows up with, can't wait for the troll versus troll war on what to boycott. They're going to eat each other alive. Yep. Boycott the DC film. Boycott the Marvel. Yeah, that's actually, can't wait for the troll versus troll war on what to boycott. They're just going to argue amongst themselves about which one do we boycott. They're going to eat each other alive. It's true, man. It's true. It's going to be entertaining to watch. Den of Nerds writes, I think this is great. Is this a sign of Disney starting to understand the internet a bit better? I don't know that this is an issue of the internet. This is a bigger issue than the internet. And it's not an issue. Doing the right thing shouldn't be a popularity opinion poll. I think Alan Horn did what he thought was the right thing to do. And you don't worry about what the public polls say. You don't worry about that when you're trying to decide what's the right thing to do. I remember Canadian Prime Minister Jacques Chrétien, who's no longer, but this was a long time ago. His government was working on making it law that gay couples can get married. And he was questioned once in an interview. It's like, don't you think that should be part of an election? Don't you think that should be on a voters, that the voters should be allowed to do that? And Jacques Chrétien said one of the greatest things I've ever heard a world leader say. He said, we don't vote on human rights. We don't vote on human rights. It doesn't matter if it's a popular thing. It doesn't matter. We don't vote on human rights in Canada. I was very proud of that statement. Now, this was not an issue of human rights, but it was an issue of Alan Horn. You don't worry about what the public opinion is. You don't worry about what the internet says. You do what you think is right. The problem I had is that I didn't think he did what was right. He thought he was. It was the wrong thing. He handled it totally wrong. And he went about it the wrong way. And then trying to pretend like, ooh, we never knew about this. Lies. Anyway, bygones. That's in the past. This is now. But I don't honestly think, Den, that it really had anything to do with understanding the internet at all. I really don't. Let's see. Robert Wild writes. Where's TJ sends in a super chat. Thank you, TJ. Robert Wild writes, John Campea, Aquaman will never make $1 billion. Disney will never rehire James Gunn. Like you say, John, never say never. It's true. Dude, I didn't just say Aquaman wouldn't make $1 billion. I said Aquaman would make $800 million. So let's be clear about that. I didn't just say Aquaman wouldn't make $1 billion. Well, nobody in the world thought it would make $1 billion. But I also said it wouldn't even make $800 million. I also said Venom wouldn't make $800 million. And none of us thought, like after the way Alan Horn came out, nobody thought they would walk that back. I got to admit, I'm impressed with Alan Horn. That he did. I'm impressed. And that's why I always say, this is Hollywood. Never say never. Anything can happen. Apex Caliber writes, Guardians is James' blood and baby. Suicide Squad isn't. I think James rushes Suicide Squad to get started on Guardians 3 personally. That makes him a jackass. That would make James Gunn an idiot and a jerk and dishonorable and somebody I would never want to work with. James Gunn is a professional. James Gunn is a creative guy. James Gunn takes pride in his work. To suggest that James Gunn he's just going to rush Suicide Squad so he can get to Guardians, that would make him an asshole. That would make him a first-rate asshole. And who in this business would ever want to work with that guy again if he was going to take on the responsibility and the honor of directing a major studio film and not give it the care and desire and the attention that it deserves? No, James Gunn is a pro. James Gunn took on this. James Gunn is excited about Suicide Squad. Yeah, Guardians is his baby and everything, but he didn't create Guardians of the Galaxy. He got hired to do Guardians of the Galaxy just like he was hired to do Suicide Squad. Now, I bet if you give James Gunn a choice, hey, you only get to do one. You only get to do one. You either get to do Suicide Squad or you get to do Guardians 3. Well, then I'm sure he would probably pick Guardians 3. But this isn't that he only gets to pick one. He can do both properly. And I'll tell you right now, I'm a huge James Gunn fan. But I will tell you right now, if James Gunn doesn't give 100% to Suicide Squad, he's an absolute imbecilic jackass. If he's going to take the paycheck and then crap all over this incredible opportunity, by the way, when Disney was firing him, Warner Brothers stepped in and said, we believe in you. And they hired him up and gave him a great deal and gave him a choice of things that he wanted. They even offered him Superman. Like, do you want him? Hey, you can make whatever you want, James. We have no plans for Superman, but if you want to make a Superman, you can make Superman. But he was more interested in Suicide Squad. If James Gunn gives, and I'm a huge James Gunn fan, if he gives anything less, but then 100% of his effort and energy and passion and commitment to making this movie that a lot of people are investing hundreds of millions of dollars and investing their hopes in him, then he doesn't deserve to direct any film. That includes Guardians. I want nothing to do as a fan. It's like if you get handed a movie, you know how many people would kill to direct a major motion picture for a major studio, particularly a comic book movie right now. And you walk in and you piss all over it by not giving it your true energy, effort, and attention because you were looking past it to something else, then I as a fan don't want anything to do with him. But James Gunn is a pro. James Gunn is a pro. He loves what he does. He loves this business. He loves making movies, and he's going to give 100%. And if he doesn't, screw him. But he will. He'll give it 100%. Anyway, Stephen Rowley writes, the man, the myth, the legend is back, and we're all happy about it, Stephen. Dude, we are so happy about it. Apex writes, Bautista marched to Bob Iger. Give me what I want. Yeah, well, first of all, I've been around Bob Iger. And I've been around Alan Horn many times. Not like they know who I am or anything like that. Not at all. Just at different events I've had a chance to stand by them or whatever. No, you don't. I don't care how big and bad you are. You don't walk up to Bob Iger and make demands. Bob Iger is the most powerful man in all of Hollywood. There's nobody with more power than Bob Iger. And I don't even think Dave Bautista does that. But I mean, basically though, Apex, that's what he did in social media, right? I mean, the way he defied Disney was like the kind of stuff you write songs about, to be honest with you. Ryan Lohner writes, what kills me is that Horn was happily retired before Disney brought him back for the privilege of going through all this. Oh yeah, that was a while ago. But remember, look, Alan Horn there's a reason why Bob Iger went out to get Alan Horn, because he's the best. He's the best. But even the best do stupid things sometimes. You do stupid things sometimes. I, as you all know, do stupid things sometimes. Everybody does stupid things sometimes, even the best of the best, like an Alan Horn. And the way he handled this James Gunn situation initially was his mistake. That was his botch. But he made good on it, and he brought him back. And it's clearly they've worked it out. So, good on all of them. Good on all of them. Let's see. Samuel Chasm writes, hopefully this will lead to Michael Jackson's legacy being restored. Samuel, I don't see how one has anything to do with the other, my friend. Kevin Campbell writes, maybe that was part of the plan all along to see if other studios would rehire him. I don't think so. I don't think there was any plan. And that's the problem. Horn, it's like, oh, this got out there now and everybody's mad? Fire him. Without sitting down and consulting the people he should have consulted. He had like one quick phone call with Bob Iger about it. There were a lot of people that never heard anything about it. He didn't take days to ponder it and give it the thought it deserved. He just acted in a real knee-jerk reaction and got them in all the hot water that they were in. But you know what? They made it right, and he's back, and now we've got a guy doing a major DC and a major Marvel movie, and I think that's cause to celebrate. Jay Brown sends a super chat. Thank you, Jay Brown. Apex writes in, what MCU film should James Gunn direct after Guardians of the Galaxy 3? Oh, well, I mean, anything he wants. I mean, I don't know. But like right now, we don't even know what the MCU is going to look like after Endgame. So I honestly have no idea. I mean, we don't even know what movies they're planning on making right now, other than Black Panther 2, which already has a director, and Doctor Strange 2, which already has a director. We don't even know what movies they're planning on doing after that. So too early to call for that, Apex. Too early to call for that. Zach Kaplan writes, James Gunn, the J.J. Abrams comic book movies. Yep, it is an appropriate comparison, except that Star Trek didn't fire Gunn or didn't fire Abrams, and then Abrams went over to Star Wars, and then Trek rehired him. So it's a little bit different, but it is a good comparison. Andrew Lee writes, best surprising news in a long time. It's so very refreshing to see a company with the maturity to admit it made a mistake and do the right thing. I agree. And for all the crap, again, for all the crap that I threw at Disney and at Alan Horn for how they managed that situation, in an equal portion, I give them kudos for being willing to stand up, take the pie in the face in the name of doing what was right and doing what was right for business and doing what was right for the company and doing what was right for the movie. And if they had to eat some crow to do it, they were willing to do it. And they didn't have to do that. They could have just dug in their heels and stuck to their guns, which is what I expected them to do. But they surprised us. And again, kudos to them for it. I think a lot of respect is due to them for that. Ryan Lohner writes, Endgame stinger, Gunn drives into a lot and is handed his script back. Wouldn't that be hilarious? Endgame ends, and then all of a sudden the screen's black, and then Burbank, California. Then the lights up, and it's the Disney lot, and James Gunn pulls up. James Gunn here for Disney Pictures. Yes, Mr. Gunn, you're on the list, and they let him on. And that's the post-credit scene for Endgame. Perfect. He just wrote it for them, Ryan. He just wrote it for them. HV39000 writes, could you say that the trolls got Gunn paid? Oh, yeah. He got a nice payout, got Suicide Squad, and now he's going to get another probably lucrative deal. The funny thing is, HV3, you're exactly right. From a look, and I'm sure James Gunn would trade a lot of it back in to not to have to have gone through all the crap that he went through. I'm sure he would trade it all to not have to go through all the crap that he went through. But at the end of the day, he got a $10 million payout for getting out of his Disney deal. Then he signed what I'm sure was a lucrative deal with Warner Brothers, because remember, every studio was trying to get James Gunn. They were all trying to court him, so there was a bidding war. So he got the Warner Brothers money, and now he gets to sign a new deal with Disney. Yeah, at the end of the day, the trolls got James Gunn paid, and they've made him millions, maybe tens of millions that he wouldn't have had. So at the end of the day, yeah, but again, I'm sure Gunn would trade all of that to get rid of some of that misery he had to deal with recently. Apex, does James update Guardians of the Galaxy 3 include Fantastic Four / Adam Warlock? Oh, I doubt it. He already had his script. He knows, he might make some minor changes, but I don't think he rehauls the entire thing to throw in Fantastic Four. Adam Warlock, again though, Apex, Adam Warlock may have already been a part of the plan. But I don't think you're going to see any Fantastic Four in there. That would just be completely changing the script, and I don't think he's going to do that. I might think he might tweak it, but adding a big thing like that, no, I don't think so. Let's see. Where are we at? Okay. And by the way, guys, I'm going to ask that we're going to want to wrap this up here. So I'm going to ask not to send in any more super chats, and I want to wrap up the ones that we've got here. This one comes to us from Samuel Pole, who writes, eat it, Mike Cernovich and the other fascists who got him fired in the first place. Pure and transparent bad faith campaign. I'm glad justice is done. Justice is done. And you're right, screw those guys. But to be fair, all those cretins did, and they were cretins, and their motivations were totally, I'm not going to say it, but the fact is, it's still James Gunn's fault. And I think James Gunn would be the first one to tell you that. Yeah, for their own political reasons, these morons and these cretins dug up these things as a smear campaign because James Gunn was very vocally, let's just say he's not a pro-Trump guy. Let's just say that. So in the classic strategy of if you can't attack the message, attack the messenger, a bunch of cretins went driven by political motivation to dig up old things or whatever to bring it back out. But at the end of the day, it's not like those cretins made that stuff up, right? At the end of the day, it was still James's fault for writing them in the first place. And it came back to bite him in the ass. So, yeah, I hope the extra payday that James Gunn gets now and the fact that he's collecting paychecks from multiple sources, I hope that gets rubbed in those Cretans' faces a little bit. But remember, at the end of the day, it wasn't them who wrote those things. At the end of the day, they just dug them up. So, and I think James Gunn would be the first one to tell you that. I think he'd be the very first one to tell you that. All right. Kevin Campbell writes, do you think Disney might try and wiggle James out of his contract with Warner Brothers? 2020 is looking kind of weak for Marvel Studios without Volume 3. Well, it's too late to try to get 2020, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 going and out in theaters by 2020. It's just too late for that. All the other actors have rebooked themselves. They've got commitments now. So even if James Gunn was free right now, no way they're getting Guardians 3 in theaters by 2020 anyway. So I don't know. No, look, I'm not going to fall out of my chair in total shock if 3 months from now we find out that James Gunn and Warner Brothers decided to part ways. I won't fall out of my chair in shock, but I don't see any reason that has to happen. Lots of directors make a film, move on, make another film with another studio. I mean, it's not something new, so I don't see why that would have to happen. But again, it could happen, but we'll see. Kevin writes, do you think the script gets rewritten to account for the Fox properties coming back? Nah. I don't think, look, Marvel is not stupid. They don't, oh, something happened. Quick, let's change what we were doing. Nope. Kevin Feige is we have a plan and we stick to our plan guy. That's what Kevin Feige is. So no, they're not going to change anything they got doing. They'll change things what they have coming after maybe, but they're not going to change the stuff they have now. So no, I don't think they're going to do that at all. James Gunn write the script according to the ending of Endgame, or did Russo's decide the fate of the Guardians according to James' script? Remember, these guys had a think tank that was all governed by Kevin Feige. Remember, the Russos don't decide anything, and James Gunn doesn't decide anything. Ultimately, everything is approved by Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige decided what was going to happen. You know, Kevin Feige gives the filmmakers a lot of freedom, but he says, okay, but this has to happen, and we have to end up here. Now, everything else you want to do with that movie, you go for it. But yeah, it was neither a James Gunn nor a Russo brothers thing. It's a Kevin Feige thing. That's the benefit of having one guy in charge to oversee all that, to make sure everything works together properly. Let's see. James Hirschfeld writes, how do you think this happened in which James Gunn was rehired by Disney for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3? It just sounds like they kept a dialogue going. It just sounds like they kept talking. And I think one of the things, you know, somebody asked earlier, do you think Disney now understands how the internet works? Well, and again, I don't think it had anything to do with the internet, but I think Disney might have been caught a little bit off guard by how vocal everybody was. And you know what? It really could have easily, James, started with like an olive branch from Disney to James Gunn saying, hey, look, Dave Bautista, he's embarrassing all of us right now. He's embarrassing Disney. He's calling us out. We can't keep him and we can't fire him because of everything he's doing. We're stuck. Could you maybe talk to Dave? And then, I don't know, maybe it was a little thing like that that then just started the conversation. And they said, you know what? Why don't we get together and have lunch and talk? They got together, had lunch, and talked. They said, you know what? This went well. Why don't we get together for dinner next week? So Horn and Gunn get together for dinner. And then they go, you know what? That went well. Why don't we have a meeting at the lot next week? So they get together and keep talking. So it was probably something very natural and organic like that. But it all comes from just talking. It all comes from just having conversations and talking. R Squared Games writes, I called this. They were just waiting for the Fox deal. No, I guarantee you, they had nothing to do with the Fox deal. Had nothing to do with the Fox deal. Absolutely nothing. Shareholders, all that kind of stuff. None of them care about any of this insignificant squabble stuff. They don't care. It's way below them. All they care about is the money and what's going on with the money. So this had nothing to do with that. I guarantee you this had nothing to do with that. Lars Hansen writes, maybe this was the plan all the time. Wait for Fox deal to be complete and then get James Gunn back. Again, had nothing to do with the Fox deal. No, but none of the shareholders gave two shits about what was being discussed. All the Fox shareholders care about is how much money per share am I going to get if we sell to Disney, and how much money per share am I going to get if we sell to Comcast. That's all they cared about. This little trivia stuff meant nothing to them. Meant absolutely nothing to them. Let's see. Mike McHale writes, Do you think doing Suicide Squad 2 and Guardians of the Galaxy 3 back-to-back could affect the quality of both movies instead of putting all of his efforts into one movie? Still love it. No, he's going to put all of his efforts into one and then wrap it up and then put all of his efforts into the next. This isn't new. Lots of directors do this. They work on a film, they've got their next film lined up, and then as soon as they're wrapped the film, they move on and do the next film. I mean, it's walking and chewing bubblegum. So no, I honestly don't think it's going to affect the quality of either. I really don't. I don't think it's going to affect the quality of either at all. That doesn't guarantee the movies are going to be good. Nothing guarantees that. But I don't think this set of circumstances is going to negatively affect the two situations. Let's see. Just Plain Steve writes, it's good to see that Marvel Studios doesn't just make stories about redemption, but they can also support them. Yeah, it's good. And look, it's more than just a good redemption story. This is a good look on Disney. You know, for all the crap that we gave them, and rightfully so, the crap that we rightfully gave them for how they botched this situation, in order to fix it, there was a price. It's kind of like Thanos. To get the Soul Stone, there's a price. You got to be willing to throw your daughter off the bridge or off the cliff. With Disney, there was a way out, but it came at a cost. And that cost is you got to be willing to take a pie in the face. Because you made these statements about how you're not going to work with James Gunn anymore, and now you got to walk that back and take a pie in the face. Would have been real easy for them to go, never mind, we'll just go get another director. Would have been real easy for them to do that. Instead, they were willing to stand up and take the pie in the face, and you got to take your hat off. I mean, you got to take your hat off to him. I respect that. Let's see. Terrence Lamont Bellows writes, which one do you think will be first? Well, we do know that it's going to be Suicide Squad 2. That's going to be done first, according to the reports, that Marvel has agreed to let James Gunn just go through, finish Suicide Squad 2, and then start working on Guardians 3. But at least the script for Guardians 3 is already done. And he wrote it. So it's not like he's going to have a lot of catching up to do, right? Troll Hunter writes, I think it's genius marketing by Marvel. Controversy sells. Now Guardians 3 is going to be $1 billion movie, do you think? Well, hey, look, the Guardians movies make a lot of money. It could be $1 billion film, maybe. But I tell you what, though, this brings a lot more attention to Guardians. And now here we are, years away from another Guardians movie coming out, and yet the whole fan base is celebrating Guardians today because of what just happened. So, it's a good thing for everybody. It's a win-win-win for everybody. Win for Gunn, win for Marvel, win for the fans. It's a win-win-win across the board. Everybody wins, man. Andres Moran writes, Bautista versus Triple H on WrestleMania this year. And now you know there will probably be a Guardians of the Galaxy angle to it. There will now probably be a Guardians of the Galaxy angle to it. Javier Belmer writes, talking about the predictions, Aquaman, Venom, Disney, and James Gunn. Now, about those Endgame crazy theories. Hashtag now. Hey, dude, with every crazy theory that I shoot down, I always end it with, but never say never, because crazier things have happened, right? That's exactly it. And it's something we always got to keep in mind, because Kevin Feige can throw some curveballs, man. Kevin Feige can throw some curveballs. All right. Luis Silva just sends a super chat. Thank you so much, Luis. Zuza U writes, would Gunn stay in the MCU after Guardians of the Galaxy 3? I believe so. Because again, my thought is, why would you bother coming back and going through all this circus right now just to come back to do one movie? Why not get a multiple film deal out of it for both Disney and for James? Why not get that locked up and make sure he's around to do more films for you later? I don't know this. I don't know the details of the deal, but I'm going on the assumption that this is going to be a longer term deal. Okay, HV3 writes, love these bonus episodes, John. Me too. I love it look, I'm just a big movie fan. I'm lucky that I have the type of job that when something like this drops, I know I can have 1,000 people to talk about it with, and we can start talking about it. I love doing that stuff. Thank you, HV3. Let's see. Anthony Esparza writes, do you think that James Gunn will continue to play a pivotal role in ushering in the Marvel Cosmic Universe post-Guardians of the Galaxy 3 as originally planned? That, to me, is the million-dollar question, Anthony. Okay, he's going to come back and do Guardians, but what about the previous kind of role he was playing in the MCU? Like, he was kind of Kevin Feige's guy for the cosmic aspect of the universe, right? Does he retake that chair? Look, we know that Kevin Feige never wanted James Gunn replaced. All other things being equal, Kevin Feige, I believe, immediately turns back to Gunn and goes, all right, let's start talking about the cosmic MCU again. But it all depends on if Disney and Gunn sign a multi-film deal. If James Gunn's just going to be around for one movie, there's no reason for Kevin Feige to consult with him on the grander scale. If he signs a multi-film deal, then I believe just like that, Feige and him sit down, start talking about all the Marvel movies and how they pertain. But again, I think it all depends. That is the million-dollar question, Anthony, but I think it all depends on what kind of deal does he sign with Marvel. And then final one of the day here, guys. I honestly thought this was going to be a 15-minute video, but we've got an hour because it's fun to talk about. Lord of the Isles writes, I hope Endgame is good. Well, so do all of us, my brother. I didn't like Infinity War or Captain Marvel that much, and in my opinion, the 3 Endgame trailers have sucked. Well, again, we're not here to talk about Endgame. We're here to talk about the James Gunn situation. I questioned the Endgame marketing. I did love this latest trailer. I love this new trailer. But I questioned the marketing because the trailer was directed at guys like me that I'm already going to see the movie. And yeah, you got me excited, but I'm already going to see the movie. You got to get my cousins excited who are not into the MCU all that much. You got to make trailers that are going to appeal to them, not just to me and people who are like me. But we'll have to see. But I think the Russos are going to give us something real special. I love the fact that it looks like they're, angling the drama of it all and all that kind of stuff. So I think we're in for something good, Lord of the Flies. All right, guys, that will do it for this little bonus installment here on the John Campea YouTube channel, talking about this latest news. It's a great day for everybody. 2 pieces of big good news. Number 1, James Gunn is back in the fold at the MCU and is directing Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Shouldn't be in anybody else's hands. But really great news, part 2. We've got one director, one after the other, directing a major DC film and directing a major Marvel film concurrently. I think that's great for the genre. I think it's great for the fans. I'm super stoked about this. I can't wait for Monday when we do the John Campea Show and Robert's on with me. We can talk about it a little bit more. I'm really stoked. And it sounds like you guys are stoked too. Listen, guys, thanks so much for being here and joining me for this special little video in the middle of the day, all unannounced. It's always fun to talk about movie stuff. Keep writing down in the comments section. How do you feel about James Gunn coming back? How do you feel about him doing both a Suicide Squad and a Guardians of the Galaxy movie? Wacky, team-based, weird kind of characters in both universes. I think it's great, but maybe you don't. Jump down in the comment section and let me know your thoughts. That'll do it for me for now, guys. Thank you so much for being part of this afternoon. My name is John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.